Friends, welcome to my channel. Before listening to this story, I will ask you to like and subscribe. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me, and we're starting. Amy and I got married 15 years ago. We dated for 3 years after our first date, when Amy was a sophomore in college. My name is Mark Butler. Amy and I met at a party and instantly became a couple, inseparable until I graduated from high school 2 years later. We broke up for Amy's senior year, after which we planned to get married. About 6 months after we got married, we were at a party with several other couples our age. It was a barbecue with grilled steaks and lots of drinks. In the late afternoon, the crowd dwindled to us and 3 couples who were sitting around the campfire drinking and talking. The topic of admission to the Hall of Celebrities arose. "What the hell is a celebrity hall pass?" I asked. Sadie, the little blonde on my left, spoke up. "Admission to the Hall of Celebrities is exactly what it sounds like. This is a game we play where you name the person for whom you want to get a vacation from your marital vows. You know, the celebrity you're allowed to make love to." "So you guys are just playing this game?" "Yes and no," Sadie said, patting her husband's leg. "Yes, this is a game that we play, but Tom and I agreed that we would give each other one pass to the gym, not necessarily with a celebrity." I was shocked. "For real? Do you mean that you guys have a permanent agreement that you can make love to someone else at any time?" Tom looked me straight in the eye and laughed. "That's right, buddy." He pointed to the other 2 pairs. "They have the same agreement. We all agreed that evening. Katie, you used your hall pass, right?" Katie lowered her head. "Tom, you don't have to tell the whole world about this." "Yes, I was at a conference and worked with a nice guy whose wife had just died in a car accident. I called Carl and told him that I was going to use my pass to help the guy." Amy was silent, but she moved closer to me, holding my hand. "Carl, did you mind that Katie was making love to another man?" "Oh yes, it suits me. She came back to my house, and someday I'll be able to use my pass." They continued their game, naming who would be their pass to the Hall of Celebrities. Amy pushed me to name someone myself after she announced her own. 15 years later, I couldn't remember who each of us chose, but I remember the passionate love we had when we returned home. Amy even admitted that when we made love, she imagined her fantastic lover using her. The next morning, I made it very clear to her that I would never accept admission to the gym. Amy agreed that it was just a game. The events of that night have mostly been erased from my memory. We continued to live our lives. Amy and I quickly started a family. We had a boy and a girl. Amy and I kept in touch with Sadie and Tom for several years, but lost sight of them after they divorced. A couple of years ago, I ran into Tom in a bar. I just happened to come in after work and saw him drinking alone. We had a drink while he was telling me that not only he and Sadie had divorced, but the other 2 couples from that barbecue had divorced. The main reason for each divorce was a hall pass. Tom said that each of them believed that a hall pass would allow them to experience the excitement outside of marriage without having any effect on the marriage. Tom said they couldn't be more wrong. After everyone used the pass, comparisons and suspicions arose. Suspicion led to disrespect, which led to a divorce. My conversation with Tom confirmed what I was thinking at that party the night before about the hall pass. It can be a fun game that can be played like a fantasy. It doesn't work in the real world. I was going to tell Amy about my run-in with Tom, but because of our busy lives, it never happened. Sitting here now, I wish I had done it. It was Thursday night when Amy was at a conference in Los Angeles. Around midnight, my phone rang. It was Amy. It was noisy, like she was in a club. I could tell by her voice that she had been drinking. "You won't believe it, but we met Joshua from my soap. He likes me, and I'm going to use my hall pass." The noise got louder. "What did you say? Did she say something about using a pass?" "Yes, honey, I knew you'd understand. See you on Saturday." "What? What the fuck are you talking about? Can you hear me, Amy?" The call ended. I quickly tried to call her back, but her phone went straight to voicemail. I left her a few messages asking her not to do anything stupid. I sent her several messages saying that there would be consequences if we broke our wedding vows. Having heard nothing from Amy all night, I tried several times in the morning, but to no avail. Friday was a terrible day when I didn't know what was going on with my wife in Los Angeles. I took the kids to my parents' house after work. I headed for Jack's house. Jack's wife Jenny went on the same trip with my wife. They worked together and were good friends. Jack met me at the door, surprised to see me. "Hi, Jack, I need your help. I can't get through to Amy." When she called me last night, her voice sounded strange. "Can you call Jenny to see if she knows anything?" "Sure, Mark, I'll call Jenny and tell her you're looking for Amy here." "No, don't tell her I'm here. I'm afraid Amy's going to ask her to cover for her. Just call her and mention Amy in the conversation and let me listen without her knowing? Of course, buddy, they were supposed to be finishing their classes right now. I do not know what made me do this. While Jack was taking out his phone, I turned on the voice recorder on my phone. His wife answered after the first call. Hi, darling, you must have psychic perception. I just got back to my room after class. We're having dinner tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow. They talked about the conference for a while, then Jack started talking about Amy. Have you seen Amy often? Mark called me, leaving a message asking if I had talked to you about her. Damn it, don't tell him you talked to me. The last time I saw her was last night. We were all drinking when this hot soap star came to our table. Amy took his autograph and they danced a few times. We were sitting at the table when Amy said something about her and Mark having a pass agreement. The soap star quickly jumped in, volunteering to be her stepmate. I tried to talk her out of it, but she said it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The next thing I remember, she was walking arm in arm with a guy coming out of the club. I haven't seen her since. God, don't tell Mark. Jack ended the conversation by looking at me. I'm sorry, brother. Do you guys have an appointment for admission to the gym? No, we played a game called Celebrity Hall Pass many years ago. But then I told her unequivocally that I would never agree to such a thing. What are you going to do? I do not know, but it will not be good. On the way home, I stopped by my parents and asked my mother to leave the children for the weekend. She saw that something was wrong, but I didn't tell her what it was. After returning home, I tried several more times to call and text Amy, but to no avail. I assumed she turned off her phone so she wouldn't be disturbed while she was making love to her soap star. Amy's flight was supposed to deliver her by mid-afternoon. Amy is giving Jenny a ride, so I asked Jack to text me when Amy drops her off. I set up our video camera on a shelf in the living room to meet her face-to-face. I wanted everything she said to be recorded. At 4 o'clock, a message came from Jack. I had about 20 minutes. I took the remote control from the camera and waited for my wife to return. I almost jumped out of my seat when the garage door rattled. By pressing the record button on the remote control, I tried to be as calm as possible. Amy stormed out of the kitchen with her bag in tow. Oh my God, what a crazy ride, she said excitedly. Yes, I bet. I've been trying to reach you. My phone is broken. I dropped it and it just shattered. The last time I talked to you, I didn't hear you very well. It sounded like you met the star of the show and used your pass. Yes, we were at the club and Joshua Morrow came to our table. You know the star on my soap. We danced a few times and talked about our admission agreement. Damn, he's so hot. He said he wanted me to use my pass on him. That's why I called you. He had all the hot actresses and he wanted me, can you believe it? He took me to his house and, well, you probably don't need the details. No, tell me how he used my wife. Amy didn't feel that I was angry yet. Oh yes, he was experienced. He knows how to handle a woman's body. He said he took one of these pills. Damn it, you're going to have to try. It lasted forever. Damn, he was good. The stories you hear about these stars who are good at love are true. Amy was just dizzy when she told her story. Finally, she noticed the anger on my face. Mark, are you okay? No, it's not like that. My wife is standing here in my living room confessing to adultery and she can't contain her giddiness about loving another man. Adultery? What are you talking about, Mark? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Joshua was my ticket to the gym. I thought you'd be happy that I was able to make my dream come true. Should I be happy that you broke our wedding vows? I didn't break our wedding vows. I took the day off to make my fantasy come true. It was like what our friends were doing. I just used my hall pass. Amy looked worried. No, Amy, it was just a game, and I made it very clear that it was just a game. I told you that I would never break our marriage vows and would not tolerate you to do so. If you had a chance to be with a celebrity, I would be all for it. I don't understand why you can't just be happy that I had an experience that I'll never forget. Don't worry, I'll never forget either. I'm sure the family you forgot about will never forget either. I walked over to Amy, grabbing her hand. I took the wedding ring off her finger. Did you make love to him without taking your wedding ring off your finger? Is this a symbol of our love and devotion to each other? We didn't make love. Yes, I didn't take it off. I was going to take it off, but Joshua wanted me to keep it. I'm sure he did it. He wanted to make fun of your marriage, and he used you, knowing that you were a married woman. Amy stood with her hand on her hip. It was her angry pose. I do not know why you attach great importance to this. It was only 2 nights. What? Do I need to take you upstairs to make amends? Thanks, but no thanks. Let me ask you, The soap boy didn't use a condom, did he? Well, no. Amy was angry, but now my question confused her. You let a man make unprotected love, a man who has made love to over 100 women, and considering he's a TV star, probably some men too. I wonder what kind of Hollywood disease he gave you, Amy gasped. Maybe he gave you something else if you weren't taking the pills. You didn't take the pills, did you? No, you know I don't need it because you had it. Oh my God, Amy gasped again. Hey, just think, you might be carrying a TV star's baby. Amy was clearly calculating in her mind. No, I had my period last week, so I'm protected until the end of this week. It's funny how you're only thinking about it now. Super Soap Boy may have put enough liquid in you in these 2 days. Mark, you're making too much of this. Is it too big a deal? So you're saying that I shouldn't make a big deal out of a molehill because my wife commits adultery and abandons her family? Amy stamped her feet. I told you it wasn't adultery. I used my hall pass. I called you and even told you that I was using it. There's a problem, Amy. You used something that doesn't exist. I never gave you permission to abandon our marriage and destroy our family. Stop being dramatic. I really thought you'd be happy for me. I guess I was wrong. I'm done talking about it. Where are the kids? My parents have them. I didn't want them here discussing our divorce. What? What do you mean by divorce? Are you going to divorce me because of this? No, we're not getting divorced. As calmly as possible, I just looked into Amy's eyes. You've made your choice, now I'll make mine. Bullshit. Are you telling me that you're going to leave our family because of this? It's not a big deal, and you're just going to have to deal with it, Amy screamed. After finishing the conversation, I calmly went upstairs to the guest bedroom, locking the door behind me. For over an hour, Amy knocked on the door, telling me that we needed to talk. Silence was my answer. I got up early and left the house before Amy woke up. Driving up to my parents' house, I found that my father was awake while the others were sleeping. Over a cup of coffee, I told Dad the whole story. Dad just listened without saying a word until I finished. When I got to the end, he just looked at me. What a fool. Dad, can I ask you what you would do in my situation? Son, you have to understand that everything was different before. It looks like this shit is acceptable now. If your mother had done what your wife did, I would have put a bullet in her head. But you have to do what you have to do. Dad, I don't think I can get past this. She knew how I felt about infidelity, damn it. I thought she felt the same way. What about that prenuptial agreement that her mom made us sign? Amy told me that her mom caught Amy's father cheating several times and wanted to protect her daughter. Amy seems to have completely forgotten about it. My dad laughed. I'm sure you're going to remind her. Oh yes, but not right away. I want to see what she's going to do. She keeps saying that there's nothing special about it and I just need to come to my senses. Dad, I really don't believe she's sorry for what she did or that she did something wrong. It wasn't until after 10 o'clock that my phone started exploding. Amy called and texted wanting to know where I was. When I didn't answer, she called the kids. Julie, our daughter, came into the kitchen yawning. Dad, Mom wants to know where you are and why you are not answering her calls. Honey, what did she say to you? Funny, that's exactly what she asked me. She wanted to know what you told us. What's going on with you? Are you cheating on her or is she cheating on you? Damn it, she's perceptive. Dad intervened. Oh shit, Mom cheated on you, didn't she? I think you should ask your mother that question. I didn't want to be accused of setting her up. I knew Julie would be very upset about her mother. Julie, being a stubborn teenager, pulled out her phone, putting it on speaker. Dad's here. Did you cheat on him? Julie, what are you talking about? Whatever he said, it's not true. What did your father tell you? He didn't tell me anything, Mom. I can read it in his face. You cheated on him, didn't you? No, I didn't do it. And if he tells you that he did it, it will be a lie. Okay, Mom, you seem guilty to me. Julie hung up on her phone. I'm sorry, Dad. I can't believe she did this to you. I'm guessing you're going to divorce her. You've always preached honesty and morality. I don't blame you if she cheated on you. Julie, with a grim expression on her face, turned around and went back upstairs. Your child has a good head on his shoulders, mature beyond her years. She'll be fine with it, Dad said. I'm not sure I'm going to be a dad, I said. 30 minutes later, there was a loud knock on the front door. I heard Dad say outside the door, Amy, I'm sorry, but you're not welcome in our house today. Mr. Butler, I do not know what your son told you, but he made it up. I didn't do anything. No matter what you say, Amy, you're still not welcome here. Tell him I didn't do anything, and if he says I did, he's going to be in trouble, Amy blurted out. She seemed angry, I told Dad when he returned to the kitchen. Be careful, son, I saw that look. She won't give up easily. This woman looks like a cornered cat. She's going to lie and claw her way out. I hope you can prove what she did. She looks ready to fight. Amy was silent when the kids and I returned home later that day. That night I slept in the guest room again. No one knocked on the door. The kids had gone to school and I was sitting at the kitchen table sipping coffee. I decided it was time to meet Amy face to face. She walked into the kitchen as if she didn't care about anything. Did the children have a good rest? I nodded as she poured herself a cup of coffee. Darling, why are you sleeping in the guest room? Are you feeling all right? You know why. I don't want to sleep next to my cheating wife. Cheating wife? Mark, what are you talking about? So, I suppose you're going to deny that you made love to the star of the show while you were out of town last week. Mark, I do not know what you were up to. She turned and looked me in the eye with an angry look. You're accusing me of something you can't prove, and I'm going to make you pay dearly. You know you can't prove anything. Here it is, a declaration of war. No, we can go back to how it was, but it's up to you. I am ready to forget all unfounded accusations. I'm sorry, but I can't forget what you did. I'm going to say it again. I didn't do anything, and more importantly, you can't prove that I did anything. You'll regret it if you try to say that I did something. Leave it alone and let's get on with our marriage. I understood the threat when I heard it. I didn't say anything. I just got up and went to my car as if I was going to work. I drove down the street waiting for Amy to go to her school where she was the vice principal. As soon as she left, I returned to the house. Taking Amy's words to heart, I entered the house in search of clues. If it was a war, I wanted to get as much ammunition as possible. Jenny mentioned that Amy got the soap boy's autograph. Was she going to deny her affair? I thought something like that would be too much of a trophy to get rid of. She would have hidden it. It took me 2 hours to find it, but I finally found it. Amy had an old briefcase in the back of the closet on her side. It was locked, but she always uses the same code for all her briefcases. At the bottom, under several folders, I found a photo. It was a standard promotional photo of a soap boy. The signature was modest. To my friend Amy, Joshua Morrow. There was another signature on the back. You've been a great friend, Joshua. I looked at the photo before putting it back in its place. The next stop was the lawyer. Before leaving, I put a copy of the scan of our prenuptial agreement, a recording of Amy's friend's phone call, and my recording of Amy's confession on 2 flash drives. The lawyer I visited was well known for her relentless attacks on cheating spouses. In the divorce world, Vicky Sampson was known as a bitch. I told my story about what Amy had done. When I finished telling her about the situation and how I wanted her to develop, she just leaned back in her chair and smiled. I like it, you're cruel. Set a trap and set it when there's no turning back. It will be inconvenient temporarily before we show the evidence. Everyone will think you're lying or crazy. Let her think that she will prevail until the very end. Mrs. Sampson shook my hand. I will prepare the documents and order her to be served at school. You need to do a couple of things for me. First, check your credit card bills. We need to find out the club where she slept with her soap star. Secondly, get access to her iCloud. I bet there's a selfie of her with Joshua. She's probably smart enough to take anything incriminating off her phone and upload it to a safe place. If you're lucky, a copy might be on her cloud. Hurrying home, I quickly sat down at her computer. I didn't even have to try to get into iCloud. There were 3 photos hidden in the folder with her photos that I was looking for. 2 pictures of Amy and the soap boy, and 1 with Amy, the soap boy, and her friend Jenny. I copied the photos to a USB stick. A quick look at the photos gave me the name of the club, which was written on the wall behind them. My lawyer was very pleased with my find. She told me not to tell anyone that we have photos under any circumstances. Her plan was to serve Amy at school on Friday afternoon. It would give me time to take the kids to their parents for the weekend. She also told me that I shouldn't move out of the house, no matter what Amy said or did. That Friday, I had just dropped the kids off at my parents' house when my phone rang. I switched it to voicemail and ignored her messages. I hadn't been home 10 minutes when she burst in. I was sitting in the living room and turned on the video camera when I heard the rumble of the garage door. I didn't want to miss a single compromising statement. You son of a bitch. What the fuck are you doing? I started to answer, but she cut me off. You just couldn't let it go, could you? What is it, Mark? Is your little male ego damaged? Have you humiliated me in front of my staff, and are you going to get a divorce? I'll do it, but you'll pay. You know you can't prove the adultery you brought into the divorce, and without that, I'm going to take everything you have from you. I hope you're happy. You could just let it go. Did it bother you that I had a great love affair with a celebrity? You could just let me have a good time, but no. Well, get out of here. Amy hovered around while I sat there, not saying a word. She returned to the living room with fire in her eyes. When are you moving in? I'm not going to move out. I'm staying here. Oh no, it's not like that. If you want a divorce, you'll have to move out. She looked at me for a few moments, waiting for me to get up, but I just sat there and smiled. Okay, when this is all over, you're going to regret that you didn't just shut your mouth and let us move on. The next month was very stressful. Amy and I haven't talked. The children slowly approached Amy. Julie even wondered if her mother was really cheating. Amy told anyone who would listen that I made it all up. Her lawyer has filed a response to our petition asking for sanctions for false statements. She even tried to get the court to kick me out of the house. It was rejected. The court has expedited our hearing, and both sides have been given limited time to testify and interrogate witnesses. My lawyer questioned both Amy and her friend Jenny. They both denied that Amy left with the soap star, and denied that they even dated him or went to a club. While preparing to testify, my lawyer told me that it was extremely important that I tell the truth, but did not offer any additional information. She hoped their lawyer wouldn't ask about the evidence we'd gathered about Amy's affair, thinking we didn't have it. As Mrs. Sampson predicted, she hammered into my head that I had not witnessed any deception on the part of my wife, but did not ask if there was any evidence of her deception. I got the impression that her lawyer didn't know that Amy had actually done what I accused her of. At the court hearing itself, I'm sure Amy thought everything was going great. I testified about Amy's infidelity, talking about my feelings about adultery and objecting to admission to the gym. I was cross-examined on the same issues in the testimony. Yes, I did not attend her conference and did not see her doing anything with other men. Amy testified that she didn't do anything, and like me, was against adultery and would never put up with the concept of a gym pass. Amy's lawyer subpoenaed Jenny to testify that the meeting with the soap star did not take place. I looked at her husband Jack, who was in the courtroom while she was testifying. He lowered his head to avoid my gaze. Jenny started fidgeting when my lawyer asked her about Jack's call and her saying that Amy had left with the soap star. Clearly nervous now, she stuck to the story, claiming it didn't happen. When Jenny sat down, Amy and her lawyer had smug faces. Amy's lawyer stood up and started arguing that they wanted sanctions for our false statements. The judge began to chastise my lawyer for not proving the claims we had made. With a smile on her face, Mrs. Sampson stood up. "Excuse me, Judge, we have irrefutable evidence." Amy's lawyer snapped, "I object. We have not been notified of the evidence. We are not obliged to disclose the evidence. If their witnesses were telling the truth, there would be no need for refutations." The judge smiled and told Mrs. Sampson to continue. Mrs. Sampson called her investigator to testify. "Judge, before we go any further, we acknowledge that Mrs. Butler did not make love to Joshua Morrow." I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but Mrs. Sampson looked at me to shut up and wait. The lawyer called her investigator, who testified that Joshua Morrow was in Europe that week. Amy's lawyer jumped up. "With this admission that my client did not commit adultery, we demand that this farce be stopped and that the court impose sanctions on Mr. Butler." Mrs. Sampson with a big smile on her face. "No, we're not saying she didn't commit adultery. We're just saying it wasn't with Joshua Morrow." Jenny was called to the podium. My lawyer asked her again if she had been with Amy at the conference and if they had met with someone they thought was Joshua Morrow. She denied it again. Jenny was asked again if she had called her husband and told him that Amy had left with a man who was not her husband. Even after being reminded that she was under oath, Jenny denied that she had called. I turned to look at her husband, who mouthed, "I'm really sorry." My lawyer turned on the recording of Jenny's call. Amy's lawyer jumped up, objecting to the recording. Mrs. Sampson said, "Judge, my client was an invited guest at the witness's house and was allowed to listen to the call. The judge told the lawyer to sit down and ask Jenny if it was really her voice. She had no choice but to admit that it was true." I began to feel vindicated when evidence finally appeared that I was telling the truth. Amy was called to the podium. Amy again denied that after returning home from a trip, she confessed that she had made love to another man. She gasped loudly when a video of her describing her love with Joshua Morrow appeared. Amy was in tears when a selfie and a signed promotional photo were presented as evidence. As Amy was leaving the witness stand, the judge turned to Mrs. Sampson. "Lawyer, I'm confused. You said that Mrs. Butler did not make love to Joshua Morrow, but you have just provided evidence that she did." Mrs. Sampson called her investigator over. "Judge, we've proven that Mrs. Butler committed adultery, but just not with who she thought she was with." The investigator posted photos from surveillance cameras from the club. Several photos showed Amy and the man she left the club with. He pointed to the photos. "This is not Joshua Morrow. This man likes to pick up married women. He is a well-known fraudster who has been diagnosed with several sexually transmitted diseases." At that moment, I just needed to look at Amy. The look of shock on her face was priceless. After a short break, the judge returned to his seat. He gave a long speech about honesty and loyalty. The judge ruled that Amy had committed adultery, as stated in the prenuptial agreement. He ruled in my favor, upholding the prenuptial agreement. The judge lectured Amy that even if there had been no prenuptial agreement, he would have awarded me custody of the children. For the record, he considered Amy an unsuitable mother because of her persistent attempts at deception. With tears in her eyes, Amy turned away from the lawyer's desk to leave. "Mrs. Butler, stay where you are, we're not done yet." The judge called Jenny to the dock to join Amy. "You both raised your right hand and swore to tell the truth in the courtroom. This oath is sacred in this building." He looked directly at Jenny. "I don't care if you have some mistaken belief that you helped your friend. Lies are lies in this courtroom. If this were a criminal case, you'd both be in jail right now. I find that you both gave false testimony, and I'm charging you both with contempt of court." The judge fined them both a maximum fine of $5,000. Amy's bad day got even worse when she left the courthouse to have the local news crew point a camera at her face. Later, I found out that the lawyer had warned them. "Mrs. Butler, do you have a comment about leaving your family for a one-night stand with a fake TV star?" The reporter's question was the straw that broke Amy's back. Amy let out a blood-curdling scream and then attacked the reporter. It was a blur of arms and legs when Amy hit the reporter. Amy laid her on the ground and pulled her hair when the deputy had to use a taser. The cameraman filmed the entire episode on video. Amy was on all the national news that night. Unfortunately, Amy didn't get to see her best moment. She was locked up in the county jail, where she stayed for the next 6 months. No, I didn't have a beautiful blonde lined up to take Amy's place. I was too busy raising 2 children, being a single parent now. And no, I didn't reunite with Amy when she got out of prison, even though she tried. My mother felt sorry for her and asked me to give her another chance, but not me. Amy lost her career and became the butt of jokes all over the city. 3 months after Amy called and texted me, I agreed to meet her at her mom's house. I sat in silence and listened as Amy told me how much she loved me and missed me. She missed being a part of our family. As a result of her arrest and conviction for assault, she was allowed only limited supervised visits with children. Amy said she was very sorry that she had lied about her affair, as she called it, and was so embarrassed that it turned out that she had been deceived by a scammer. She ended up begging me to take her back, saying she would be the best wife in the world. I stood up and took a deep breath. "Amy, that was a passionate speech. I believe you mean every word. You apologized for lying. You said you missed our family. You said you loved me. I believe you. I really think so. But what you didn't say is the most eloquent. You never said you were sorry, and you didn't even show any remorse for breaking our wedding vows. I think you regretted that, as it turned out, you didn't make love to the guy of your dreams. I don't believe that you regret cheating on me, or even that it was cheating. The answer to your question is no, and damn it, no. I'm not taking you back, not now, not ever. I want you to stop messing with me, period. If you don't, I will extend the restraining order that was issued when you were arrested." Amy stood up crying. "I'm really sorry. I'm sorry that I used this guy, and yes, I liked it. I'm really sorry that I liked it. Is that what you wanted to hear?" "Amy, we're done. Go and live your life. That's not going to happen to me." I turned around and walked out the door. Amy was yelling at me, and her mom was having a hard time holding Amy back.